Good morning and thank you for joining us. You're joining the Albert College Roundtable session. This is being recorded and will be played through the Our Kids website. This morning we have two family members joining us, and I call them our Albert College family members. Myself, Tracy Cole, I'm the Senior Enrollment Office Manager at Albert College, as well as Katrina Davis, who is also in our enrollment office. Katrina is going to add some information at the end of the session, and our two panelists are going to kind of walk us through their journey at Albert College. First of all, we have Kara Smith, who's a current parent as well as an alumni, and we have Karen Chan, who's also an alumni of Albert College. I'm going to let Kara introduce herself first, and we'll get started with our session. Good morning, Kara.
Oh. Hi, everyone. I'm Kara. I am an alumni, but also a recent parent. My son just started at Albert College last year, so he's about to enter his final year. I am based in London, but I'm originally from Bermuda. And I don't know, Albert's, it was a big part of my life as a young person, and it has remained a big part of my life because all my friends, my children, my son's godparents were all from Albert, you know? So it's still very much a part of my life.
Thank you, Kara. Karen, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Karen. So I attended Albert, I think since 2016, and I graduated 2019. I chose Albert because my dad used to study there 30 years ago. So I absolutely love Albert. So I was like, Dad, I have to go here. And I'm actually from Hong Kong. I was a boarder for 3 years, and it was a fantastic experience for me.
Great. Thank you, ladies, for introducing yourselves. We're going to get started this morning, and we're going to ask Karen some questions about being an alumni and her experience in the boarding house. And then we're going to go on to Kara. And again, she's going to answer from a current parent perspective, but I'm sure there'll be some of her own experiences being a student as well. So we'll get started. I want to make the most of everyone's time this morning. So Karen, thank you again for joining us. What did you appreciate most about school during your time there? And how is your perspective on that changed now that you have some distance from the school?
Oh, I really much appreciate how much opportunities Albert gave me. It was 3 years there, and Albert provided us with a variety of chances to explore ourselves. For me, especially, it's the type of sports it offers, because I'm definitely a more sporty type girl, and for each term we were required to choose a sport and try something new. And I've discovered so many new sports such as field hockey, volleyball, and lacrosse. And actually, throwback to 3 years ago, I didn't even know what lacrosse was. So, however, learning a new sport has allowed me to discover a new hobby, and I actually still play lacrosse now, and I'm so grateful that Albert allows me to know what lacrosse is. And after graduating from Albert and going into university, I think it was definitely hard for me, and the biggest difference would be the support and care I received from teachers and faculty. A few years away from high school makes me more grateful, and I miss the time at Albert and how much care and love all the teachers and faculty gave me. There are certainly less opportunities that my university provides compared to Albert, and I'm happy that Albert has made me a more anticipating person, so I'm able to always fight for the opportunities, even though it's rare, and get involved with different school-based society and outside of school, like extracurricular stuff. And yeah, that's the difference, I think.
Great, thank you. If the school were to be represented by a single person, what would be the personality in 3 words?
I would say Albert's a really caring, reliable, and giving person. So for caring, I think all the faculty members are so considerate and so heartwarming. I remember times when I started crying because I was panicking because of exams. I feel so comfortable reaching out to everyone in school, including my advisors, my teachers, uh, the manor staffs, and even faculty members in the office. All of them showed genuine care for students, and they would offer help to whoever needs their help, mentally and physically. Um, Albert's also reliable, as I think we count on each other very much in that school. And I feel a strong bond is actually built in between students, in between teachers and students, in between, I don't know, house directors and boarders, something like that. I remember how frightened I was on my first day here. And so many faculty members reach out to me, and I'm so grateful, and we still keep in contact, which I'm so happy. Uh, AC is also really giving, so not merely the opportunities and the academic assistance, but how nourishing and supportive the environment is. This school created so many happy memories for me. I would never forget it, and I would really like to give back to the school.
Well, Karen, you know you're always welcome to come visit us anytime. What would be one thing you could change about the school for the better if you had to choose something?
Mm, to be very honest, I would really appreciate if the manor's closer to the campus so we don't have to walk all the way for dinner. But I know it's not something we can change. It's just a joke. I really couldn't ask for more from Albert. But if I really have to change one thing, I would probably hope that we don't have to wear blazers when it's during hotter days, as it's like really hot in some of the classrooms. And if we could take it off during those little moments, I would be really grateful.
That will be funny for some people to hear that maybe are watching internationally. They would never think of Canada as being a hot place.
Yeah.
Here we have maybe about 6 days while you're in school that it might be a little warm. It's not certainly not Bermuda, Kara, is it by any means? So and I want to circle back on your comment about the girls' residence, Victoria Manor. It is only about a 4-minute walk, would you say, Karen? You did it a lot.
Yeah, it's like 4 to 5 minutes. It's acceptable.
Yes. So just so people don't think you're walking across town like that. It is quite a reasonable walk. I guess maybe in the winter time is when it's snowing and a little colder. Maybe that's some of the times that you're referring to, or when you're super hungry and you want to get to dinner. What would families find most surprising about the school, in your opinion, Karen?
Taken from my family, there were sometimes my parents come visit me every year, like when I was still in Albert, and they mentioned how like they were astounded by how the teachers are multitasking across different courses. So for example, Mr. Stacy, my ESL teacher, also my ASP teacher and my cross country coach, he's managing so many things at the same time. And this is really uncommon in Hong Kong and my old school. And I'm so amazed by how they could manage to teach numerous courses. And on top of that, each teacher has to look after a group of advisees. And it's crucial for my mom to know what's happening about me in school. And they're so grateful that Miss Woloshin, my advisor, was constantly updating them on how I'm performing and how I feel about school. And yeah, I think that would be the most surprising thing for them. Another thing would be probably I would say a place would be the dining hall. I love Harry Potter, and after 3 years at Albert, I'm still amazed by how the dining hall gives me chills. How it resembles the Harry Potter like dining hall so much, and the flags in the dining hall really makes me think that I'm so grateful that Albert's so diversified. Like I know so many people, I meet so many uh, good friends from different cultures, and I'm happy for it.
That's a great answer, Karen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you give to students entering the school?
Mm, I would suggest new students to enjoy and get hyped up for the orientation camp. Camp Tamako was really fun. It was definitely the first and the best opportunities to meet new people, as everyone's so welcoming and super nice and super friendly. Uh, if you're a boarder, don't hesitate to reach out to residential staff. To me, my house directors are like my mom's away from home. They were always there, and uh, when I need help, they're always there academically or mentally. And as a boarder, uh, I was really homesick for a certain period, and talking to them definitely made it hard, make it easier for me, and allowed me to enjoy my time there. But on the other hand, if you're a day student, I would recommend you guys to participate or attend different activities in the school. Uh, I still remember those good times we had during coffee house or movie nights on Fridays. And that's when I bonded with everyone the most. And I get to know more people from different grades instead of just my class and my grade.
So Karen, one of the points I wanted to touch on, and you kind of just highlighted it slightly. I think it's interesting to talk about Albert College and how our day students and boarding students really are one family.
Mhm.
It's important that people realize when they come to Albert College as a boarding student, they not only are going to make friends with our boarding family and our boarding community, but also with our day students. Do you want to touch on that, talk about that a little bit more? And maybe after you're done, I'll get Kara to chime in on that as well.
So for as a boarder, I also bond with a lot of day students in class and outside class. How we're also in the same team. We hang out after classes, and they also offered so much help. Especially I'm an ESL student, um, academically and mentally. They've been really good friends to me, and some of them we attend the same university, and we still keep close contact and stuff like that.
Thank you. Kara, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so wonderful to hear you talk, Karen, because like that all those experiences were so similar to my experience. It's really wonderful to hear that part of Albert hasn't changed. Yeah, so some of the day students. Well, when I was there, the day students, we were all very close, but a lot of times I couldn't go home for the different breaks. And so there were families who would, families of day students who would agree to have me come and stay at their house. And it was really great, like in that first year, because I'd never been to Canada. And so I got to just understand a bit more about the local culture. I got to see more of Canada. And then those parents became like secondary parents. And yeah, definitely some of the day students are my closest friends still to this day. So
So I want to add that Welcome a Border program that you spoke of, Karen, Kara, is still in effect. We actually still have that operational. And I think it's important to talk about that because many larger schools, when it's a break weekend, international students have to go to a homestay and their parents have to pay for that. And the parents don't really know where they are. At Albert College, when you select our small family school, part of the program that we offer is our day families welcome our international boarders to come and spend those break weekends with them. And as you mentioned, Kara, many of our international families or students have never been to Canada before. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get to live in a boarding program and have the structure and things that offers, but you also get to experience what Canadian families, how we live and what do we do on certain holidays and what foods do we like, and kind of see the Canadian culture from a homestay perspective, but with an Albert College family.
yeah, and I would just add too that like I know that Belleville is a smaller town, but it has many different like viewpoints. Like I remember staying with a family who lived in more of like a farmland then I had another family, I stayed with another family who had like a beautiful lake and a trail behind their home. And so it was a very lots of different scenes within Belleville, which was really nice, to see, because I think when you think of a smaller town, you think it might just be one thing. And it was not that. So I really appreciated it.
Great. One last thing I'd like maybe Karen to touch on is the nightly study hall. I don't think we really talked about that.
Mhm. The study hall was really useful. I know it's harder for boarding students to actually get the sense or adapt to a school before if you don't have some rules. And the study hall is every Monday, every Sunday to Thursday night, I think, 7 to 9. It's the 2 hours period where boarders just study in their room quietly, and some of them have their doors open, and we have house directors walking around monitoring everyone's progress. And there's also teachers on duty, which come in for academic help, and it's definitely super useful right before exam periods, as we might be studying really hard on calculus and Mr. Goosey just shows up and we're like, yay, Mr. Goosey. Yeah, it was really helpful.
And what I've heard from students as well is it helps them build good study habits. So when you go to university, you've already seen the rewards of studying 2 hours every evening, and how academically that really does support your learning throughout the day. Not
Yes.
to put it in your mouth, Karen.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. And please stay on, because I think we're going to have some questions maybe at the end for you, Karen, but we're going to go on to Kara and talk about her experience as a parent. And we'll have some, I'm sure, some added information about when she attended Albert as well. So the first question is, why did you choose Albert originally? In what ways is the school what you expected, and which ways is it not? And I know that might be a little difficult because you kind of already knew what you were getting.
Yeah. Well, I know that there's one thing a question I would like to answer, which helps pick this answer this question, which is the first question sort of that you asked Karen, which is what did you appreciate about Albert at the time, and how has that changed? And Albert allowed me to really expand my world. It was like I got to meet many different people from different walks of life. I got to study things and that just weren't available to me in my country. And it really opened my mind as a learner, because I do think that sometimes when you think about school, it gets really focused on academics, and Albert College is amazing at academics, but it also teaches you how to be a lifelong learner, how to constantly ask questions and be curious. And I really appreciated that. But I also, in hindsight, what a lot of people didn't know was when I arrived at Albert, my mother had passed just the year before. And in hindsight, when I talk about that experience, I realized how supportive and compassionate Albert College was. And of course, the teachers must have known. And I think that it was just as I look back on it now, Albert College is a family. There are children, there are students there that have real lives and real things going on. And it's not just about academics. It's academics, of course, but it's also, they care about the person and where they are at that moment and how to get them through that. And so it's always something I've come to really appreciate about being at Albert. And so when my son thought about what he wanted to do in his later part of secondary school, my sister went, I have 2 cousins that went, 3 of his godparents went. So he was like, maybe I should just go to Albert. And I'm like, yes, go to Albert. So that was sort of, I knew that whatever my son was trying to figure out, like in terms of where he wanted to go, sort of in tertiary education, whether he would or go out into the workforce, I knew that Albert College would help find that path for him. And so it was sort of like, that was definitely part of the decision to let him go, obviously because I had a great time too. So I was like, you should definitely go. And I think like what sort of really blew my expectations out of the water in terms of like dealing with the school. You know, my son attended Albert College during the pandemic. And I think that, you know, as a parent, you're concerned about international travel, you're concerned about safety. You know, will they be okay? Are they going to feel safe and confident? Will there be measures put in place? And at no point was I worried. I mean, the communication, the measures put in place, um, just every step of the way, Albert College was on it. They reached out, they were available. They really helped my son and I get all our things to the school, make sure that he was safe. They arranged COVID tests. They, you know, it really put my mind at ease. And because even I have friends saying, "You're gonna let your son go away," and I was like, "He is in the safest place. Like nothing's gonna happen to him." And so, and I obviously I wasn't thinking about that when we applied in 2019, but I just want to say that for any parent that's considering sending their child at a time that feels a little uncertain, and because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, I have every confidence that Albert College just has it under control, because I felt very confident with the measures they put in place, all the staff members. I mean, Karen talks about how the teachers juggle so many things. And my son Judah, his guardian had me on WhatsApp and was messaging me, making sure everything was okay, and if I had any questions, and the dorm staff and everybody. It was amazing. Yeah, that's all I can say about that.
That is awesome to hear, because in the middle of a pandemic, you're doing everything you can, and
Yeah.
you know that you're doing the right things, but you also hope that the recipients are receiving it the way you're intending it. So it's really nice to hear that you felt confident. I will say Belleville is a small city, as we've mentioned, only 50,000 people. And what was a blessing during the entire pandemic is that because our city is quite small, our numbers were always very low here. So at one point during the pandemic, the Ontario government made the decision that every board could open based on how many COVID cases were within that jurisdiction. And so Albert College was one of only 6 counties in the whole province that were able to remain in-person learning for longer than any other school board in our province. So I think selecting a small school in a small community really works in your favor when you have things like this happening, which obviously no one could have ever predicted. But what it did is it gave our students a lot more in-person learning than many other schools.
Yeah. Can I actually say something about the, this is more my son's observation about, because we started part of the year not boarding, and then because we were waiting for our visa, and then we got there. My son felt that the online school was amazing. Like he, you know, the teachers were very considerate that they had students across many time zones, and so he wasn't, you know, there were times when he physically couldn't be in class because it would be the middle of the night. And the teachers always checked in. He had a direct access to them. He was able to watch the classes after they had happened. And I just thought that was amazing. I thought, you know, because it, you know, we've never done this before, and the way that the school responded, and it wasn't just, oh, here's your education, but it was also very thoughtful. And my son really appreciated that, and so did I, because I honestly hadn't thought about it. I was like, oh, he's just sitting in front of the computer doing school, but actually, you know, he felt the support, even though he hadn't been able to come to the school in the sort of traditional way.
It's going to be very exciting in September for many of us, because we haven't, some of us have not seen these students yet. If we're not a direct teacher of them, we were not able to be in classes or, you know, move freely around the school. So in September, we're going to have a few more freedoms, not like we would in regular school, but it is exciting for us as staff that we'll actually get to see some students in person that we have not even met yet. So it's everyone's looking forward to September to get a little bit of our normal life back if we can at school. So the next question is, what is the biggest impact the school has had on Judah so far?
Well, something that Judah came home and said when he started with the school, the teacher said that we are your partners in your education. And it really enlightened him because for the first time, it occurred to him that he had a choice. He could be active in what he was learning as opposed to being told, this is what you have to do, this is where you have to go. So the biggest impact is that they've given him autonomy over how he learns. And I think that's really important, especially as you get to the point where you're thinking about university. And like I said, becoming a lifelong learner, you want to feel like you have choice over the things that interest you and how you can get better at things. So as a result of that, I've seen my son become more engaged with his classes. I mean, he's gone above and beyond in like projects and participation because he feels like he's a part of the partnership. It's no longer being told what to do, but sort of being in conversation. Obviously, there are things he has to do that are mandatory, but I think it was just that gesture of we recognize that this is about you and what do you think about the things that are happening. I thought what he felt was really great.
Great. So the next question is, what does your child have to say about the school?
I think like the most consistent thing that he talks about, because I think with COVID, there was a lot of sense of uncertainty and stress, and he would talk about just like his mental health and the mental health of some of the students of not being able to get like the full experience. And he said that he felt the school did a really good job of checking in on that and trying to find ways. Like I think they did like Friday night dinners or something. I can't remember everything he said, but or they would try and take him outside, get him to play golf or do things to stay connected. And he really appreciated that. And I know that's a very specific example because it's a pandemic, but I know that he really appreciated that, and so did I, because again, as a parent, you think, are they okay? Because with teenagers, they're not always forthcoming about what's on their mind. And I really appreciated that the school was kind of in touch with that and understanding like, that the pandemic was affecting people in different ways. So.
Yeah. So I did ask Karen this question, and I'll ask you, Kara, the same question. If the school were to be represented as a single person, what would its personality be like in only 3 words?
Okay, well, I'm gonna piggyback off of one thing you said, Karen, which is caring. They really are caring. And another word that I would use, it's a little sort of slang, but I would say ride or die, because the school has your back. Like I remember this definitely as a student, but I also see it with my son. It's like the school is going to go with you the whole way, and they're your biggest champions. But also, if you need a nudge, if you're starting to sort of have a tumble or you're finding some difficulty, they're there to say, "Come on, let's go. How are you doing? How are we going to fix this?" And I think that's great. Like it's such a great environment. And I would also say charismatic. Like it's kind of weird to attribute that to a school, but it is fun. Albert has a personality, and it's about having a good time and being curious. And yeah, you'll learn how to play rugby, but you're also going to be like painting and learning photography and going to camp and going skiing. And so it's really dynamic, and it's really just yeah, I think it's charismatic. So those are the 3 words I would pick.
Good. How would you describe the values of the school and the values of the families in the school community?
I was just gonna say, it is like having a family. It definitely feels that way. I think like, Albert talks about the 5 A's, and those values definitely come through in lots of different ways. And I think like what I love is that it's not just a slogan, it is consistent. you see when the teachers talk in like the parent teacher interviews that we do like a couple times a year, you can hear the teachers say it, and even when Judah talks about his experience, oh, I'm working on this A this week, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I think there is a real belief and connectedness to those 5 A's, which I think is wonderful, and you see it within the school. And with the parent community, again, I'm sorry I keep talking about pandemic, but that's sort of how we entered Albert. Like, we've all been in touch. There's been some wonderful Zoom conversations. There's a wonderful parent community on the parents portal, where we stay connected and we talk to each other, and it's been really, really helpful having those connections. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Good. Those are actually all the questions that I have for both of you. I want to open up the floor. We do have a few more things to get through that Katrina and I are gonna work through, but I want to give either of you or both of you the opportunity, if you want to add anything or like say anything to people out there watching about the school. This is the floor is yours.
Cara, do you want to do it first?
I guess I would just say that, this Albert College is a choice that has a lasting impact on your life. It's I think, having a son, he's 17 now. We've been to many schools, we've done nursery and primary school and secondary school, and now we're at Albert. And I think out of all the choices we've made, Albert has been the most indelible, and he's only been there for 1 year. And obviously I went to school there. So I will say that it's a choice that has a lasting impact. And I just think it's a really supportive place. And if it is something that you're considering or maybe unsure about, like, reach out. Like, you can talk to the alumni, you can talk to the school, because they're really open.
Thank you, Cara.
So I would like to add on to that. I just think it's honestly one of the best experiences in my life, and I would definitely not regret going back to Albert again because it's such a good school. As we always say, small school, smart choice. It's just how like Belleville and how Albert is actually shaped is what makes it so special. Like, I've never studied in a small school, and I didn't know how well students and teachers and faculties could connect so tight, and it gave me such a unique experience that I never had in other schools. I would say it's also about how, like, Albert makes me who I am right now. I gained so much knowledge and support from teachers, including, let's say, my academic advisor or peer support from other students there. It's definitely a great time, and I definitely miss it.
Great, thank you. So Katrina and I are just going to touch on a few points, maybe things that are outside of your experiences. First, I'd like to touch on flexible boarding options. Seeing as you both came to us as international students, this wouldn't have been something that would apply, but Albert College does offer for local or kind of within our vicinity students the opportunity to come and stay as a boarding student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nights. We have families that are maybe an hour or so away, so the student will go home a couple nights a week, but also stay on campus a couple nights a week, so that they have the opportunity to participate in sports and study hall and different things that are happening, but also have the ability to go home. So if you're within the vicinity, within an hour or two of Belleville, and you are looking for flexible boarding, that is something certainly we can discuss. Simply reach out to info@albertcollege.ca, and someone from our admission team will be happy to get back to you on that. The next thing that we need to talk about, or would like to talk about, is guardianship, custodianship. So to study in Canada, you need to have a custodian or guardian form completed, someone that will be responsible for you while you're here in Canada. Many families have family members or friends within Canada that will act as that role for them. If that is not something you have access to, Albert College does work with a company, and you can find all those details on our website. And there's a link to their services that they provide, so they can help with applications for study permits and visa applications and acting as your custodian or guardian. So that is available on our website if that's something that you do require. And then I'm going to turn it over to Katrina now. And I think she's going to do a screen share with some options through our website, other things that you can explore. So it's yours, Katrina.
Okay, excellent. Yes, I'm going to share my screen over to albertcollege.ca. Okay. Everyone's able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
That's working? Awesome. Okay. So the first item, looking at the application process. So right from the homepage, albertcollege.ca, top right, apply. We're going to have two options. Scrolling down here, either applying for junior kindergarten to grade 12 or applying for the pre-kindergarten program. So when I select apply for junior kindergarten to grade 12, I'm going to receive a notice just letting me know that there is an application fee of $100 required in order to process the application. And the application form is completed right here, embedded on the website. Now, in addition to the application form, we also request the applicants provide 2 years academic reports as well as a teacher's evaluation. I am going to open the teacher's evaluation just to demonstrate that it can be both downloaded or printed to be completed once completed by the teacher, whether the applicant wants to download, print, provide it to the teacher, or the teacher can come directly to the website as well to access it the same way. Once completed, at the bottom, our email address is there for electronic submission at info@albertcollege.ca. Once we have those three pieces, we're able to open an admission file. So we have your completed online application. We have your past 2 years of academic reports and your teacher's evaluation, after which we invite students to complete an entrance test, or if applying with English as a second language, instead we would be asking for an English proficiency assessment, after which the final step is an interview. If during the process of the application or considering applying, there's any questions, there's an online inquiry form right here on the application page, and we definitely welcome any questions. So from there, once a student has been accepted, so completed the application, completed their interview, has been offered a position or a spot at Albert College, we can talk about tuition assistance. So just at the top there, tuition assistance right on the application page. So over $500,000 is granted in tuition assistance annually, and about 32% of students are receiving some form of tuition assistance. So that can be in the form of scholarships, which are awarded on the basis of merit and achievement, or by bursary, which are based on need. So as I'm scrolling down here, for bursaries, I have some information regarding eligibility as well as instructions for how to apply. Likewise, for Albert College scholarships, eligibility, how to apply, and scrolling to the bottom, some additional scholarships as well. Some tuition assistance, frequently asked questions might be of interest. And if those don't answer your questions, you can request more info, again, sending a message directly to our admissions office, and we'd be glad to hear from you. And one more piece I would like to cover. So I'm just scrolling back up to the top of the website. Sorry, I'm moving my little Zoom window over here. So top right, beside the apply button, we have the discover button. And this page is full of fun opportunities to learn more about Albert College, including taking a virtual tour. So let's scroll through here. We have a message from our enrollment office. So our director of enrollment, Heather Kidd. And a message from our head of school, Mark Muska, discussing what makes Albert unique. A message from our junior school. And the next piece here, downloading our view book. So the view book is a great opportunity to read through and better understand what we mean by those 5 A's. and that make every Albert student an A student. So you can download the view book directly there from the Discover page. Now, taking a virtual tour, we do have 3 options. Our pre-kindergarten, which would be a tour of our early primary learning center, the kindergarten to grade 6 group, which is a tour of our junior school, and then our grades 7 to 12, which is a tour of our middle school and senior school. Down a little further, we see you can sign up for a one-on-one information session with a member of our enrollment office. We can hear what junior school parents are saying, what a grades 12 student and her mom have to say about their experience. Again, more opportunity to connect with us by scheduling a phone or a Zoom call. Email us directly, email enrollment, and that's going to that info@albertcollege.ca email address. And finally, I'd like to point out, you can also connect with us on our social channels as well. So lots of opportunities to be in touch. Let us know if you have questions. We would be happy to hear from you.
Thanks so much, Katrina. We actually have got through all of our material in a fairly timely fashion. Thank you, ladies, for being efficient. Is there anything anybody wants to add before we sign off for the day?
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say this, the scholarships and tuition assistance, you know, I think it was so helpful. You know, my son comes from a single parent household. And so sometimes you're thinking, you know, I want to do this opportunity. Can I afford it? Talk to the school. You know, I found a lot of resources and we were able to get some support, and, you know, it made all the difference. And I know that as a parent, that is a real conversation about when you choose a school for your child. Finances always comes into the picture. And I just want to say that that tuition assistance is there, and the team were really, really supportive in helping me figure it out. So I just want to say that.
Thanks, Kara. Karen, do you have anything to add? Are you all set?
I'm all set.
We also have to add, I have to add that Karen's in Hong Kong, so it's nighttime for her, as where the rest of us are in the same time zone. So it's still morning for us right now when we're doing the recording. So I appreciate it, Karen, you being so lively for us.
No problem.
Okay, Katrina, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Sorry, I had myself on mute there.
Okay.
I've had a great time listening. Being relatively new to this role, it has been really fun to listen to both Kara and Karen to hear their perspectives. And I'm one of those who has yet to see a student live in the school. So very much looking forward to September.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today. It's always interesting for me to hear from alumni and kind of in retrospect what their experience was. And so I love hearing how you reflect on your experience at Albert College and kind of what we meant to you and always what you mean to us. So thank you very much for joining us. We are going to conclude our session. And again, if you have any questions or need more information, please do reach out to us at info@albertcollege.ca. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.